Hi there. Let's take a look at the homework problems that we had. Page 218, we'll begin with number 13. We're told that h of x equals the square root of f of x times g of x. So I see a chain rule going on here. So I've got f of x times g of x, and that's going to be raised to the 1/2 power. I write it like this as opposed to the radical form so that I can easily do the power rule. So let's take the derivative. I'm hoping you're seeing that that outside function is something to the 1/2 power. So the derivative would be 1/2 times that something to the negative 1/2 power. That something that was being raised to the 1/2 power is f times g of x. Now we need the next piece in the chain, and that is to multiply by the derivative of the inside. Because that's going to require a product rule, I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses here so that I can do my product rule. Plus g of x times f prime of x. Now we're ready to go ahead. We are looking for this derivative at -1 because we're trying to decide if the function is increasing or decreasing. So we'll put in -1. And we'll have to go to the chart to get these values. We'll be real careful to pay attention to both the function or the derivative, whichever one we have. Okay, so kind of focus your eyes in on that row where x is -1, and we'll put these values in. So first coming up, we have f of 1. Well, f of -1 in our chart is 3. And g of -1 is 1. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting over in the product rule. So f of -1 was 3, and g prime of -1 is 1. G of -1 is 1, and f prime of -1 is -2. All right, now I've got my values, and I'm going to clean it up just a hair. Let's see, I've got 3 times 1, so that's going to give me 1/2 times the square root of 3. So the 2 came from the half, and then I've got square root of 3 coming to the bottom. And then on the top over here, I've got 3 plus -2, which is 1. So it looks like I've got 1/2 square root of 3. But remember what the question was asking, is it increasing or decreasing? That's a positive value. So I know that h of x is increasing at x equals -1 because h prime of -1 is positive. That wording is very important for AP. To get all of those pieces in there, make sure you have all of that. Okay, let's take a look then at number 14. In this one, we're dealing with P of x. And we're told that P of x is 2f of x plus g of x, all to the 2/3 power. So again, we're going to do our chain rule. We're looking for the derivative at 0. So look at your chain. You've got something being raised to the 2/3 power. What was that something that was being raised to the 2/3 power? It was 2f of x plus g of x. And then we've got to do the derivative of the inside. Again, notice I'm putting it in parentheses. Because of that plus, I need to make sure that I do all of that together before I multiply it. Okay, now we're putting in the value of 0. So remember, we're going to go to the chart to get these values. Okay, now let's look at the chart. We're looking at the row when x is 0. That's the last row in the chart. So we've got 2/3. I've got 2 times f of 0, which is -1, plus g of 0 is negative 2 to the negative 1/3 power. Then I've got 2 times f prime of 0, which is 2, plus g prime of 0, which is negative 3. Okay, I'll do a little work here inside of my parentheses. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. And then I've got times, and then over here I've got 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 plus negative 3, that's 1. All right, so I've got a 2 on the top. I've got 3 times the cube root of 4 in the denominator. And that's my answer for P. Oops, let me move that up so you can see that. P prime of 0 here. All right, just one more in this group, and that is to find the equation of the normal line. So we'll get it started here. I want the normal line to h of x equals tangent of 3x. And remember, normal line is perpendicular to the tangent line. So we've got to keep that in mind before we use the slope. So I've got chain rule again. The outside function being tangent of something, that gives me secant squared of that something. And then the derivative of the inside, the derivative of 3x, gives me a 3. Okay, we'll go ahead and find this value at pi over 12. So we've got 3 secant squared, and then 3 times pi over 12 would give me pi over 4. Okay, now think about what that pi over 4 triangle looks like, right? That's a 45-degree triangle. And we know in a 45, 45, 90, you've got a 1, 1 square root of 2. So secant here is actually square root of 2. So I've got 3 times the square root of 2 squared, which would give me 6. Keep in mind, this is the slope of the tangent line, not the slope of the normal line. So let's look at writing the equation for that normal line. So if 6 is the slope of the tangent, then the slope of the normal line must be negative 1/6. So now that we have the slope, we can go find the point by plugging in pi over 12 for x in the original function. So we're looking for h of pi over 12. So tangent of 3 times pi over 12 would really be tangent of pi over 4. So remember your 45-degree triangle, right? In a 45-degree triangle, you've got 1, 1 square root of 2. So your tangent there is 1. That means my point that I'm going to write this normal line at is pi over 12, 1. And I've got a slope of negative 1/6 there. So let's write the equation. Y minus 1 equals negative 1/6 times x minus pi over 12. And that gives us the equation for our normal line here. If you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to see more videos like this on this topic, please feel free to leave me a comment. I will be glad to do that. Bye for now.